Hello everyone, welcome back to DASKA Discusses. Well, I know it's been a while since it finished, but I'm going to discuss today the Cobra Kai Season 2. Let's do this! I gotta love Cobra Kai. I really enjoyed Season 1 and I always was a huge fan of Karate Kid 1, 2 and 3, the originals. I even actually still teach Karate Kid 1 to one of my classes as well, the junior classes, and they love it as well. And that's what's good about Cobra Kai. I think you can, even if you're an older fan of the films and you haven't seen it in a while, you can watch Season 1 and it throws back all these things and you remember retrospectively all these lines, and yeah, it is a bit cheesy. But even with a newer audience who aren't really that familiar, who just watch Karate Kid, again, you get hooked on these shows. But let's talk about Season 2, shall we? Now Season 2, well, I guess you could say it picks up from where Season 1 left off, and FYI, there's going to be some major spoilers here. Again, there's some great performances here by Ralph Macchio and Zabka as well. They're fantastic. And we've also got Martin Kove coming in playing as John Kreese, which is actually pretty awesome. But look, I'm not going to go through every single episode here. I'm going to talk about just what I thought were the good parts and the bad parts, assuming you've seen Cobra Kai Season 2, and this is what we're doing. I'm doing a discussion because we're on DASKA Discusses. Duh. Now, in terms of all the characters, I found that Daniel and Johnny did really, they had their fair share of parts as well in this, obviously, with Daniel creating the new Miyagi-Do dojo, going up against the Cobra Kai. Then you got Sensei Kreese rocks up again and he wants to basically, be part of it. And then we kind of see some sort of semi-redemption in his arc, but then by the end of the series you know that he's actually been the same old Sensei Kreese, whereas Johnny on the other hand realizes that Sensei Kreese is actually the bad guy in this. And then at the same time you've got this whole triangle of Miguel, Samantha and Robbie. You've got Robbie and Samantha, who obviously, Samantha lives with her father, and then Robbie's taken in there, he's living with the LaRussos as well, which is interesting. That whole thing about Miguel being the ex-boyfriend, and then there's that whole party scene and no one knows what happens, and then you've got another arch enemy who comes in, Tori. Really interesting character, I must say. Other characters like Hawk, they've got their fair share of parts in it, and Dimitri, that was an interesting little subplot there. But characters like Aisha are kind of not ignored, but kind of like you see them at the start of the season and then they're kind of forgotten. So I felt they could have used some of the sub-characters a bit better. But again, hey, what is the story about? Is it about those characters or is it about Johnny and Daniel? It's more the latter. Now, the good parts of Season 2 I really found, just like Season 1, were the throwbacks to and the flashbacks to the original Karate Kid films, 1 and 2. There's a few little things in there from Part 3, but little subtle things like the soundtrack as well plays a key role, but even some throwaway lines that you think, oh yeah, the average viewer would be like, oh yeah, whatever that means. But no, they're actually lines taken from Part 2 and Part 1, and things that you'd probably obviously pick up, like, the ice, he's going to break the ice with his hand, just like in Part 2 as well, in that fairground sequence as well. So there's the really cool throwbacks and the flashbacks to Miyagi, and it's good to see that Daniel still, obviously references Miyagi as well. Obviously, he makes the Miyagi-Do, he's got the medal there, the Medal of Honor. There's a lot of throwbacks to the originals, which is really good. And if you're a fan of the originals, obviously you're going to notice and pick up on a lot of these Easter eggs and references. The other good part for me was definitely Martin Kove playing Sensei Kreese. Now, originally I thought, what are they going to do with Kreese? He's going to be like a cameo. But no, he's actually used really well in this. And he's still got it. He's actually pretty old he's pretty old as well, and he's still got the moves and he's still doing well, but he still plays that intense character that he did in the Karate Kid films, specifically obviously Part 1 and Part 3. But I think he did a really good job, and I'm really interested to see how they're going to do it in Season 3. What's actually going to happen? Are they going to bring back what's his name, Silver from Part 3? If they do, well, we'll see what happens. The other good part, although quite, sad as well, is when Johnny goes for drinks with his old Cobra Kai mates, and they go camping, and you got Tommy there who's actually got cancer, and then we find out, well, he actually passes away, and they take him and they zip him up in a body bag, which is ironic, because he said it in Part 1 as well, put him in a body bag, and then you've got him actually being zipped up there. Now, it's not meant to be for comedic purposes, it's actually quite depressing and sad. But that whole irony with that, I thought that was a really cool episode, that one there as well, for sure. There was really good tension in this series as well. You could feel the tension. I mean, Part 1 was awesome with the tournament at the end and all that as well, but this, I felt like it grew, okay? The whole hatred of Miguel and Robbie, and that whole love triangle thing happening as well. The whole thing with with Daniel and Johnny as well, when he gets his when Daniel gets his dojo all smashed up and he rocks up to the Cobra Kai and, like, you know, they're ready to fight. That was really cool. The fight scene in his house as well was pretty cool as well, how they did that. But I just felt the tension was good, and was there more at stake? In some circumstances, maybe. And it's good to see that how they showed how Daniel's obsession with the Miyagi-Do, how that affected his family, his married life as well, which is interesting. It was weird how they didn't show his son much, which I always find weird. Why not just write him out completely? But anyway, that's me. The soundtrack was really good in this. I like how they threw around a lot of the 80s soundtrack. They even have it at a party, which is like 80s themed as well, which is really cool. Cruel Summer at the end, which was a real interesting motif how they did that. The whole season, now it sounds stupid what I'm going to say, but it feels like the Karate Kid, meaning that no matter how cheesy it is, yes, we know how cheesy it is, and the acting may not be up to scratch, whatever, to some people, whatever. It's a YouTube series. I think YouTube have done a really good job, and I still think that Ralph Macchio and William Zabka did a really good job, and Martin Kove as well. It's interesting how they're going to throw in the, you know, reference that Ali might be in the next season. There's a few Easter eggs in there about her being a surgeon, so we all know what happens with that finale, what's going to happen there, maybe. It's got that feel of the Karate Kid, and I felt when I was watching it, like, feels like that feeling that when you're watching the original Karate Kid films, you just sit back and you just enjoy what's happening, and it's captivating. And every episode, you know, I ended up binge watching this. You have to, seriously, because every episode ends with not a cliffhanger, but it was a refreshing series to watch while Game of Thrones was happening, and we'll talk about Game of Thrones in another video. Oh boy. Now, the bad parts. I've had a lot of people, friends of mine who have seen the series as well, and said, oh, there was no tournament at the end, what the hell was that? Well, look, you can't put that in the bad parts. It's not that it's bad that there wasn't any tournament. There was a major fight at the end, like a big, huge school fight, a big rumble. I thought that was done really well. It was filmed really well, and it was intense. I just think that the ending about what happened with Miguel getting... I thought it was when Miguel had Robbie down on the ground and he showed mercy, and then Robbie gets up and, well, obviously, you know, kicks him over the balcony, and then he falls down and breaks whatever, his neck, spine. We don't know what actually happens. It was quite a dark turn for this kind of like light-hearted series, and it just goes to show that, well, these producers and the creators are telling the audience, hey, this is not all fun and games in a way. Things are getting serious for season 3. So you can take that last final sequence as one of the negative points and a positive point. I think it's a bit of both, really. Not that I hated it, I just thought that you can't repeat and have another tournament again. I like how they did it. I just think it kind of ended in quite a dark note. The whole thing with Ali, look, if they use Ali well in the next season, if she's in it, which I'm guessing she will be, as long as they use her character well in this, it'll be good. Same with Silver from part 3. If he comes back into it, it'll be epic. But I just think the way they used Kreese in this was perfect. It was the right amount, and the way they introduced it. And at the end to have this kind of thing that basically, you know, maybe Ali might be in it and Silver. We haven't been told about Silver, but it could happen. So I just hope they do it right. The other part that I thought, I don't know, just kind of like stopped the storyline a little bit, or just, you know, didn't waste time, was just Johnny with his whole thing about not knowing about technology, not knowing how to use technology, you know, starting to use the internet, and then the whole thing with the dating. I know it's funny, I know it's there for comedy. I just felt that maybe it's a bit unrealistic, in my opinion, but whatever. Now, if I was to give some sort of rating for this whole season, it's very difficult to give a rating out of 10 for 10 great episodes, but there was a couple there that, you know, did drag along a bit, but I think ultimately I would give season 1 a 9, definitely, and I'll give this one an 8. I think I enjoyed season 1 a bit more. However, the stakes are higher in season 2. Giving it an 8, still an awesome score. I can't wait for season 3. And that's it, guys, from me. I hope you enjoyed this Cobra Kai season 2 review / discussion, more so, about my favorite parts and my least favorite parts. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, obviously. And if you want to, if you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to hit subscribe so you can stay up to date with my videos. I'll see you guys on the next time on DASKA Discusses. Boom!